Hello, I'm Michael Dubois, immediate past president of the Woonsocket Rotary Club and also the chairperson of Woonsocket Rotary Days. Last year, Woonsocket Rotary Days consisted of 15 events going on over a 17-day period throughout the month of May. We didn't have a suitable location last year in Woonsocket to hold many of these events, so they were fragmented throughout the city over 3 consecutive weekends. And this year, what we decided to do, with the exception of Touch a Truck, is to take all of those events and just bring them together, combine it to make a real family-friendly event in one location where the crowds could feed off of each other. So what we decided to do for this year, and what we're asking for permission for, is to have a Woonsocket Rotary Days weekend. The weekend would be from Thursday, June 2nd to Sunday, June 5th. We are looking to bring in fiesta shows, which is a carnival. We are looking to have a barbecue competition. We're working with the buy local group of small business owners who will be putting out many different booths supporting all the local small businesses in the area. We're working with the Woonsocket Arts Guild to put on an artist village. And also there's a separate field in the rear of Homestead Gardens. And what we're looking to do there is have a music festival, similar to what we did in Woonsocket last year, which was very successful at Boulay Field. We're looking to put in the backfield, which would be a ticketed event. That would happen from approximately 5 o'clock, and we'd like to go to at least 10 o'clock at night, hopefully 11 o'clock, where we're going to have some national and local bands playing there. So we have some great entertainment lined up. We're just looking to get permission to do this, but we have a great weekend in store. It's going to be real family friendly. The front half of the field will be great for kids. We're looking at a small stage with musicians, jugglers, and what have you. The artist village, the carnival, that's all going to be free of charge. And the only thing that will be paid admission is going back to the music festival. And we're looking to have a beer and wine license to be used in that rear field for the music event.
The only question I want to ask is that for the solicitor, it's dealing with they'd like the extension till 11 o'clock at night for this event. I know in our ordinance say 10 o'clock, noise has to be regulated. So can we give an extension?
As a board of license, you can give an extension as to the time of operation, absolutely.
Yeah. So we could grant that, that additional hour, and therefore they will be able to.
Absolutely. So it's the ordinary hours subject to approval of the board of licenses, extensions can be granted.
Mr. Dubois, it sounds like a wonderful event. There's going to be required police detail, and of course the Rotary, you just got to keep to cover all this stuff.
Yes, we're very much aware of that.
EFT parking as well. Have you reached out to some of the businesses? Are they going to, because I can see this, hopefully it gets so busy it'll be traffic all over, but we need to mitigate the impact on the road. Have you reached out to the businesses to use their parking lots?
Not yet. We're waiting to see how this evening will go. We are looking at the possibility of having shuttle bus service from the Woonsocket area for the people who don't have transportation to come out. And we're also going to be approaching businesses on Industrial Highway, and we'll have bus service shuttling back and forth to Homestead Gardens.
I just want to make, I'm very in favor of this, but I personally would have to see some type of plan in place to mitigate the traffic impacts throughout that neighborhood, because I'm a child of the late 60s. I've been to a few music. I know it's not going to get to that Altamont or Woodstock stage, but I've seen, I just want to make sure they're all through the neighborhoods and back there that those folks aren't impacted. So if you could, tentatively, I'll make a motion to, but we really need a plan for traffic. Hopefully it's that big. It's a wonderful problem, right?
Hopefully.
So, Mr. President, I would like to make a motion to grant a temporary liquor license for Woonsocket Rotary Club to run June 2nd through June 5th. And it's contingent upon a traffic plan and parking and transportation being supplied to, you can send it to the town administrator, or you can email all of us, I just need to see it.
Will do.
All right, thank you, good luck.
Okay.
I'll be there.
All right,
I'll be
thank you.
part of the problem with the traffic.
Okay, we
Thank
know-
you.
Also need entertainment license, victualling license.
Oh, yeah, you want,
outdoor
on
sound.
Councilor Nato's reminded, Councilor, you want to flesh out the motion?
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to include entertainment licensing, victualling licensing. Councilor Zelinski already put in your liquor license, the outdoor sound system permit, including the extension of time till 11 p.m. And that would be on Friday,
Thursday.
Thursday, Friday, and Saturday evenings would be
Yes.
11 p.m.
Yeah.
Are you asking for?
Sunday, we're probably going until 5, 6 o'clock.
Okay. That's my motion.
Second.
Second, third.
Motion by Councilwoman Nato, second by Councilman Zelinski, Councilman Sullivan. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, roll call vote, please.
Ms. Alves? Yes. Mrs. Nato?
Yes.
Mr. Sol?
Yes.
Mr. Swolenski?
Yes,
Mr. Boucher?
Yes.
been all that fun, did I hear waiver fees?
We can't, because it's a liquor license, we can't waive the fees.
But did we, can we?
Okay, Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to waive all fees except for the liquor license.
Okay, seconded by the chair. Any further discussion, Madam Clerk, roll call vote, please.
Ms. Alves? Yes. Mrs. Nato?
Yes.
Mr. Sol?
Yes.
Mr. Swolenski?
Yes.
Mr. Boucher?
Yes. Looking forward to a great time.
Great, thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Michael. Okay, item number 5, discussion by council, vote of action on presentation of audit.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Cheryl Langevin from Bacon & Company. This is Pat Boucher, the audit partner. I was the person working on your audit this year. You should have received your audit report, a management letter, and another communication from us. I'm just going to give a brief overview of the audit. If that's what you want to do, and then ask some questions. If you look at pages 1 through 3 of the audit report, so that's the main book that you have. That's your audit opinion. The town received an unmodified opinion this year on their financial statement. I just also want to point out that the town implemented 2 new pension standards, GASB 68 and 71 this year, and there is a paragraph in the opinion just emphasizing that matter because it had a large impact on the town. On page 13 of your financial statements is the government-wide financial statements. So these are the full accrual financial statements of the town. So they include all your assets, all your debt, all the funds pretty much together broken out between government and business on a full accrual basis. If you look at the bottom of the page, the governmental activities, which are things like the general fund, the school department, public works, those types of activities. You ended the year with a net position of $9.1 million. Of that amount, you were showing an unrestricted deficit of $14 million. The deficit is a direct result of implementing the new pension standards. So you brought on a pension liability of, well, a net pension liability of $17 million. So that's created that deficit. The business activities, which are the water and sewer funds, ended the year with a net position of $11.1 million. On page 14, it's a statement of activities, which has all your revenues and expenses for the year. Your governmental activities increased your net position by $2.2 million. Your business type activities decreased your net position by $209,000. On page 15 are your governmental fund statements. So you'll see your general fund, your school unrestricted fund, and then the final column is all your other governmental funds added together. So your general fund ended the year with a total fund balance at the bottom of the page of $3.9 million. Of that amount, almost 3.1 million is unassigned. The school unrestricted fund ended the year with a fund balance of almost $1.6 million. And of that amount, 1.4 is restricted for education. Your other governmental funds, so that would be all your other special revenue and capital project funds, ended the year with a fund balance of 1.1 million. If you turn to page 17, it has the income and expenditures for your governmental funds for fiscal year 15. Probably about 3/4 of the way down the page, you'll see the general fund increased fund balance by $635,000. Your school unrestricted fund increased their fund balance by $843,000. And your other governmental funds decreased their fund balance by $339,000. Pages, starting on page 19, are your proprietary funds, so that's your water and sewer fund. The water fund ends the year with net position at the bottom of the page of $917,000. And the sewer fund ended the year with net position of 10.1 or almost $10.2 million. On page 20, the net position of the water fund increased $65,000, and the sewer fund had a decrease in net position of $275,000. Starting on page 25 of your notes to your financial statements, I'm just going to point out a couple of things. On page 35, it gives you a summary of your long-term liabilities, so it's all the liabilities of the town. It breaks it out between governmental and business type activities. So it shows your loans, it shows your net pension liability of $19.2 million. It shows your net OPEB liability of $1.9 million, and then it also shows other liability information town. And then I'll just also point out to you that starting on page 50 is note 16. It's the new pension footnotes. There's a ton of information there. It goes from page 50 all the way to page 69. So it's a little wordy, but it's broken out by pension plan. It gives you a lot of information about pension plans. It's all the new standards that were just implemented this year. And then I just also want to quickly point out the next section, which starts on page 70, the required supplementary information. Starting on page 71, there's kind of like a table for each plan, and it tells you what the net pension liability is, and it gives you information of, what the percentage of covered payable is, and the funded ratio, and that type of thing. So on page 71, your teacher's plan is showing the town share of the net pension liability is $17 million. The next page on page 72, the teacher survivors benefit plan actually has a net pension asset. So they have a net pension asset of $3.3 million. On page 73, your general employees pension plan, which is basically non-teachers and non-police, that actually also has a net pension asset of $1.3 million. And then your police plan has on page 74, has a net pension liability of $2.1 million. And then starting on page 77 and 78, it's your budgetary statement. So on a budgetary basis, the town ended the year with a budgetary surplus of $350,000. The next page, on page 79, the school ended the year with a budgetary surplus of $864,000. And then if you continue in the report, there's basically, starting on page 84, I told you all the funds, the other governmental funds are combined in one column in the front. Basically, the detail is starting on page 84, so it lists each individual fund and it gives you the information for the funds. And then on page 104 through 106, are basically the financial statements, single audit findings. I don't know if you have any questions that you want to ask us, or if you want me to go over findings in detail. You already went over them? Okay.
Jason, this is something we're over last meeting.
Sorry,
All right.
I wanted to have a heads up of what was going on here.
So I don't know, I mean, that's a very brief overview, obviously, so I don't know if you have any particular questions that you wanted to ask us. You also received a management letter, you got that a little bit more recently. I don't know if you have any questions on that.
So your overall findings were for the town?
Pardon?
Is it a well-run financial institution?
Well, we did have a few findings, and I know they're working on, like I said, on page 104, you know, there were a few problems this year. I mean, I'm sure, you know, Jason's working on those. I mean, you know, most of the things we ran into were things that occurred prior to him, and then he was kind of catching up. So I'm anticipating next year, you know, based on the quality of the information we got, that I'm thinking that most of these will probably be gone, but we'll see.
I'm shooting for them all to be gone. Or they should all be gone now through procedures that we already implemented to address that. So, if they show up again, I will be as disappointed as everybody else.
Any questions? Okay, thank you, Agnes.
Okay, thank you.
Item number 6, 7, and 8 are ordinances.
Mr. President, last Thursday's meeting of the ad hoc committee, as much as we think we are making tremendous improvements on it, but looking at other ordinances around the state and outside of the state, we find areas that we need to tighten up once again. So I would like to continue this probably to our first meeting in March. And I think by then, the ad hoc committees, as you now know, is meeting twice a month to address these issues. And so I think probably our first meeting in March would be an adequate time for Chairperson Lentz, myself, and other members to come forward and bring the council up to speed on this. So I would like to continue, Mr. President.
March 7th.
March 7th, thank you, council.
Motion by Councilman Zawinski, second by Councilwoman Nato, to continue this to March 7th. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, roll call vote, please.
Ms. Alves? Yes. Mrs. Nato?
Yes.
Mr. Solly?
Yes.
Mr. Zalinski?
Yes.
Mr. Boucher?
Yes.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to move item agenda under new business, agenda 12C, discussion by council of overall action on administrator's request to utilize Scottish Hall for senior events, and also the discussion by council of overall action on resolution regarding Blackstone Valley Wastewater Authority Act. Next up on the agenda.
Motion by Councilman Solly, second by Councilwoman Nato, and Zawinski. Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it. Okay. Docket item number C. You want to explain this, Solly?
Yes. What's that? Okay, the reason why I asked for C to be put on the agenda, and Administrator Linda Tebow's here. I had a good conversation with her Thursday night. Thursday night we discussed it? Thursday night. Administrator Hamilton had sent us her administrator's report back, I want to say it was January 28th. The subject line was January 16th administrator's update. And in there she had expressed that she had been working with Mrs. Tebow to try to utilize Scouters Hall for senior events. Currently in our operating budget, we do give money over to senior services. It's under the line items of grants and contributions. In speaking with Linda Thursday night, we had a great conversation about, she's here to answer any questions we may have, about currently the town really doesn't offer a lot locally. Our residents go to Lincoln, our residents go to Woonsocket for these services. And we do, through grants and contributions, give some money over that, but our residents have to go elsewhere. Linda being a town resident, she'd like to see that happen in our town, And Scouts Hall, I mean, it's not utilized during the day, it's utilized at night by Scouts, it's utilized by municipal court. I think it's a great idea. I wish the administrator was here. I'd give her and Linda great credit for coming up with the idea and see if we can't make this happen. I think, funding it, I've spoken with Mr. Parmalee, and currently it goes through grants and contributions. I mean, again, if we had our own senior center, and it was a staff senior center, it would cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, not counting the millions it would cost to build it. I would tend to believe that we should have a line item in our budget strictly for senior services through our Parks and Recreation Department. Normally, when people think of Parks and Recreation, we think of kids, we think of ball fields, we think of playgrounds. We don't think of other residents. And, I'll be honest, I'll be the first one to admit, had that not been in that letter from the administrator, I would have never thought to put it on the agenda. I hadn't seen it come up on the agenda. I discussed it with Linda, and I think it's a great idea, and that's why it's on the agenda. It's all print for them. I think we need to take the steps needed to make sure this happens.
Mr. Solly, we do have a surplus fund. Is there any, give it any thought to possibly funding for the remainder of this year? And I don't know if it hit our budget or...
So, and Mr. Parmalee may be able to help out with this. So currently I see year-to-date 7,600, year-to-date actual is 5,000 for senior services. I believe there was allocated, was it 76 was allocated for senior services? I would like to allocate 10,000 a year going forward, make up the balance this year to make it 10,000. So add the additional 2,400, and then, like I said, make it a line item for $10,000 a year, which basically $2,500 a quarter. So senior services can hold their events locally in North Smithfield for our residents. Linda has a great plan coming forward through senior services. She's talked to this council, it was the March 2nd meeting of 2015, so almost exactly a year ago. I watched it back on the YouTube video to see the plan, and I mean, for me, I mean, we have this senior living facility right behind us here. We have senior living facility over at St. Antoine. We have a facility that's not being utilized. And we have a third party willing to come in and hold senior events for us, and it's going to cost us a fraction of what it would cost us to have a true senior center. And like I said, when you think of Parks and Recreation, you think of kids, you think of playgrounds, you don't think of all the other residents. So again, I think it's a great idea, and I think we should fund it as such, and I think we should utilize a facility that we have that isn't being used currently.
Mr. President, through you. Mr. Solly, is that a motion?
That's a motion.
Mr. President, through you, I'll second that.
No,
Could you repeat?
To fund senior services at a rate of $10,000 a year through a line item in the Parks and Recreation budget, and to allow senior services incorporated to utilize Scouts Hall for senior events on an ongoing basis.
We're going to allocate an extra 2,000.
And to allocate an additional $2,400 in this year's budget to bring the total to $10,000 for fiscal year 16.
My only question would, where would we want to take it from?
Contingency?
That would be,
Contingency to do with that?
that's the 157 number that we
Correct.
talked about last meeting. Just so everybody's aware.
154 something now, right?
Correct.
Before we vote, does anyone have any questions for Linda? I did ask her here in case anyone did have questions.
I actually do. You can come up.
Sure.
Go ahead.
And for the record, could you identify yourself?
Linda Tebow, 83 St. Paul Street, North Smithfield.
Hi, Linda, how are you? What types of events are you thinking?
Well-
Exercise?
Well, the thing is, when I had talked to Tony, what I wanted to do was to bring you our wellness program. We're federally funded for the wellness program. We've been doing this since 2009. It's been proven to be extremely successful. And it's a three-pronged thing. We have health education, health screening, and of course, exercise is a huge piece of it. What you know, when Tony and I talked, all of a sudden I started getting ideas, but what I thought might be a really good idea was to put a registered nurse, maybe myself, once, I'm not sure, once a month at Scouters Hall to do blood pressure screenings and nurse consultations. We also have a very good information specialist, and I've got numbers here to show you how many people we actually have served already. But I thought if we could have her at Scouters Hall once a month, she used to come there, remember Deb, many moons ago, and she would help people with Medicare and all those types of financial things that I don't like to do. Also, with my nurse colleagues and partnerships that I've made throughout the years, I wanted to bring education in, so that even with the Department of Health, we have programs that I can bring in. I have nurse colleagues that are certified in teaching diabetes and COPD and even support groups now with the Alzheimer's group. So that's a piece of it. And actually, we just got our grant again, so yay. We were happy about that. In that budget for this year's grant, I had put in a 6-week session of Zumba, which I wanted to start in March. So exercise will certainly be a big part of it, but all those three pieces need to happen to give this program what we need, and that's the plan. You know, that's the plan. I can't be here for all of it, but I'll be here for lots of it. In addition, you know, I wanted to make people know that every program that we offer in the Woonsocket Senior Center and at the Rhode Island Athletic Club, North Smithfield residents are welcome to come. And that's part of our grant, because we serve all of Northern Rhode Island. So, but it's a rough plan, Roseanne. It's a rough plan because we just talked the other night.
I just have 2 more questions.
No,
Sure, go ahead.
Just one's really a comment, that I would make sure that scheduling doesn't interfere with the baseball games and things that happen at
Sure.
Pacheco Park, just for traffic trying to get in and out of Pacheco Park is.
Right, well, you know, we found that the best time for seniors is in the morning. You know, like most of our classes are at 10, the exercise classes are at 10 o'clock in the morning. Our education programs are usually at 10:30. We run them for about a half an hour. And you know, we have to be concerned, you know, make sure that we don't interfere with the scouts as well. We would do, you know, certainly look at that. But I checked with Ray and, you know, to look at the times that were not good times. But, you know, as soon as we get that plan tightened up, we'll let you know for sure. But that's a good point, Roseanne.
Fantastic. And our insurance, I'm looking at the solicitor for this, or do you think we're covered? Do we need to increase our
If they don't
policy?
provide insurance, we'd have to obviously add it to the trust. We'd have to ask for.
All our exercise classes, we have liability. We're under an umbrella.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
fantastic.
and all of our instructors have their own liability insurance. When I do anything, I'm under the liability of senior services.
All right, great. Great, I'm very excited. I think it's fantastic.
I'm excited about it, and you know, the thing is, one of the goals that we had was to regionalize our wellness program, because it has been nationally recognized, and I've got a little bit of a vested interest in this town. I wanted us to be first. I wanted us to be first, and then maybe we'll move on to Burrville after that, but I'm excited. And thanks, Tony and Paulette, for allowing this to happen, and the rest of you. Thank you.
Yeah,
Anything else?
Linda brought up a good point. You know, she said that North Smithfield residents can go to the Woonsocket Senior Center, they can go to Rhode Island Athletic Club. By having this in our town, our residents will now know they can do that. I mean, right now, I think the word of mouth is there, but there's not a whole lot of.
Right. Well, you'd be surprised the amount of, the amount of people that we have coming to our events is kind of staggering. It's.
And hopefully it carries over locally too.
But it's good. And you know who we've partnered with now that I'm really excited about? Mike Reynolds with the Rhode Island Athletic Club. We finally, you know Mike?
Personally, yeah.
He's a great guy.
Yep.
But we have water aerobics there every single week. And he is now paying for one class, and the grant is paying for another. One of them is flight. So we have seniors doing oh, that kind of stuff, and it's a hoop. And we do, we're good. We get into a round off
Fantastic,
now.
I love that.
And yoga Pilates, so we have 3 classes there. And then, like we have, so 9 classes in all. And then, if we can add 2 or 3 here, at Scholars Hall, it'd be perfect. It'll be perfect. But it'll make them feel welcome and know that it's okay. When we had that dinner, we had over 60 people at that harvest dinner that we did, so.
But thank you, and the administrator's not here, but I'd like to thank her as well.
Well, I think it's a great
For
thing.
you two working on it together, and
Yeah.
I mean, it was all, like I said, I wouldn't have thought of it had I not seen and heard, but, so, thank you.
And I told you, I will go to the Parks and Rec meeting. I'm not going to be part of that group because I can't do one more thing, but I will go there and make a presence and, as a consultant kind of a thing, I don't mind.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda.
Thank you.
So, Council Sully, we made a motion, I think that pretty much everybody seconded it, Mr. President, and
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, roll call vote, please.
Ms. Alves? Yes. Mrs. Nato?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Boucher?
Yes. I'd like to thank Linda for bringing these programs to town. I know the seniors will be beneficiaries of something good to extend their quality of life. And coupled with the other items that were brought forward, the Rail Athletic Club, I think we have opportunities for them to enjoy fellowship and stay healthy. So, thank you. The next one is discussion by council for other action on resolution Blackstone Valley Wastewater Authority Act. This is a resolution for Representative Brian Newbury and for Senator O'Neill. And basically the resolution is this: whereas the city of Woonsocket owns and operates a wastewater treatment facility, and whereas the town of North Smithfield entered into an interjurisdictional agreement with the city of Woonsocket for the provision of wastewater treatment services for residents of the town of North Smithfield dated December 7, 1977, was the agreement. Whereas the city of Woonsocket has notified the town of North Smithfield that the agreement will only be extended upon new terms, conditions, costs, and fees that the town of North Smithfield believes are arbitrary, excessive, and unfair. Whereas the town of North Smithfield has been unwilling to accept the amended and restated agreement with new terms, conditions, costs, and fees that the town of North Smithfield believes are arbitrary, excessive, and unfair. Whereby there is no federal state governing body that provides oversight and control that will prevent the city of Woonsocket from imposing terms, conditions, costs, and fees that are arbitrary, excessive, and unfair. Whereby the city of Woonsocket has notified the town of North Smithfield that the wastewater treatment services will be terminated effective November 1, 2016. And whereas wastewater treatment services are a matter critical to the public health of the residents of the town of North Smithfield and should be subject to oversight and control as a public utility. Now therefore be it resolved that the town of North Smithfield Council supports the attached proposed legislation entitled Blackstone Valley Wastewater Treatment Authority Act, which would be established state oversight and control of the Woonsocket wastewater treatment facility. And this is the resolution that will be voted on. As I stated earlier, that this wastewater treatment facility has gone from a partnership to a dictatorship. And therefore we will kick this, with this resolution, Representative Newbury and Senator O'Neill will take our plea to the state, and hopefully we'll be able to get the PUC involved to control costs of this entity. Because somewhere along the line, somewhere between 1988 and 2012, the oversight board that was there dissolved, never met, I don't know what. Trying to find information has been very sparse, to say the least. And so that under this situation where they gave us the proviso of either sign or we'll shut you off, it's not going to happen. So we'll go to the state, and if we have to go further, we will. So I'm asking that you support this legislation for our delegation to bring it to the attention of the legislature and the PUC as well.
I'd like to see what you read from this for 1 second. Thank you. Thank you.
So the chair motions to move this resolution.
Second.
Motion by the chair, second by Councilman Zawinski. Are there any further discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, roll call vote, please.
Ms. Alves? Yes. Mrs. Nato?
Yes.
Mr. Solly?
Yes.
Mr. Swansky?
Yes.
Mr. Boucher?
Yes.
Thank you, Bob.
Okay. Going back to, is it docket item number 9, discussion by council for direction on consent agenda? We'll start with the A, payment of bills, B, town council minutes, C, communications from town offices, D, communications from town boards and commissions, and E, communications from municipal court, Smithfield Police Department, Smithfield Fire and Rescue Services, resolutions opposing the total gantries of the towns of Exeter, Gloucester, Hopkins, Middletown, Narragansett, and Richmond.
Mr. President, I'm okay with, I would just like to pull for consent, Town of North Smithfield supply invoices approval list. Everything else I was okay with. I don't know anybody else does. Payment of bills. Supplier invoices, 2/16/2016. February 16, 2016.
So you want
I have a few questions on this, President.
okay, so you want to, so motion to accept B, C, D, and E
Yes.
in one vote?
Second.
Okay, motion by Councilman Zawinski, second by Councilman Nato. Is there any further discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call vote, please.
Ms. Alves? Yes. Mrs. Nato?
Yes.
Mr. Solly?
Yes.
Mr. Swansky?
Yes.
Mr. Boucher?
Yes. Okay. Now we revert back to payment of bills. Want to take it page by page, Paul?
Yeah, if you don't mind, Mr. President, to Jason. Jason, page 1 of 12, Amazon. Seems that we purchased a lot of drives. The amount at the bottom is $3,674.65. I know you deal with the codes day in and day out. You know what the departments are. I don't. Is there any way that we can incorporate what department it is, or is that too cumbersome for your report?
Well, the department is the number
Yeah.
on the left side of the screen,
Yeah.
or the left side of the report, excuse me. I can give you a department code as a header to this,
Yeah, like a...
just a list of all the, no problem
Then this
to
way
add
I'll-
to this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like for
yeah.
future, then I'll keep it with me and I'll know.
I can't run this report with the department on it, if you
Right.
know what I'm saying? Because, I mean, I guess I could pay to have them create one.
No, just so I know who it is.
If I
that's all.
give you the list, is that amenable?
Yeah, maybe the rest of the councilors might want it as well.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, in relation to this Amazon, I'll just go through it briefly with you. The big chunk of money here is SSD drives, which
Yep.
are solid state drives. In the budget last year, we had about $3,500 to replace our spinning drives with solid state drives. Half of them are already replaced by Jerry Ann and myself, so we're in the process of doing the switch over. It is in the budget, it's right in line with what we expected it to be. Rather than purchase 17 new computers, we figure we'd do 17 new drives, get a few more years out of the machine itself.
Wonderful. Thanks.
So almost all of this is relation to those drive purchase. There are other couple little things. Amazon is one of our vendors that we shop for the best price on toner, the best price on an office chair, whatever it may be. So there are some other things in
Yeah,
there.
no, I appreciate you shopping around. Thank you. Mr. President, page 5 of 12. Jason, Casale Engineering, RI, what was that? You have to refresh my memory.
I'm not sure if the council remembers, but last year there was an MS4 agreement signed with Joe Casale for $17,000.
Okay.
It was a contract to identify all the outfall locations for the catch basins.
Yep.
It was voted on. I could pull that
I
from last year
remember
if
now.
you need it.
No, it's good, thanks.
Yeah. Yep.
And we're gonna have all that on electronic digital, so that,
That's actually, if you look down towards the bottom of the page, the Juniper systems,
yeah,
that's the electronic ID.
for 45.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll call it the identification computer.
Yeah, that was my next.
Yep,
Okay,
so
thanks.
that's all part of that same project, we'll call it.
Okay. You explained to us, the same page, you explained to us last time, and I just don't recall, Joseph Pfeffer.
Yeah, Joseph Puffer is, if you look to, right under his name, it says 1-035. 035 is our food pantry fund. So this is his reimbursement out of the food pantry for items he purchased.
Yeah, thank you, Jason.
No
Appreciate
problem.
it. On 6 of 12, Mr. President, Marshall and Swift in the amount of $634 renewal. Refresh my memory, Marshall and Swift.
I know it's for a revaluation item. I believe it's for the notices that go out for hearings for revaluation,
Okay.
but I can't verify that 100% right now, so if you don't mind, I can get you the final answer after.
Yeah, fine, thanks.
Sure, let me just.
There's a
write
lot
this
here for you. I don't know how you can keep going ahead anyway.
down. Well, I cite them all twice, so most of the time I can keep track of it, most of the time.
Last one on the bottom, Minnesota child support.
Another thing that you've never seen before, withholdings out of employees' paychecks has never gone through the check run. Well, now it does, because I show you everything, as I mentioned a couple, maybe 3 meetings ago. So this is actually just an employee's garnishment, we'll call it.
Okay.
So I wasn't really sure why half the stuff is there and half is not, so I figure you'll see everything.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it.
Regardless.
Thank you.
Yep.
Mr. President, on page, unless anybody has anything between those pages, 9 and 12. I guess this is a payment to PAR for $34,200, and that's for the improvement review?
Yeah, well, that's the road bond engineering.
Okay.
And why it's here is what we do is, just for a quick explanation, all legal bills for outside counsel go to David for his approval, just to make sure that he approves that the work was done. All of this has gone through PBIC for their approval before it comes on your review here to approve.
Okay. Thank you, Jason. Mr. President, thank you.
We had discussed this a while back. I don't know if we've ever done anything with it. Have we figured out how we can get all this retired and stuff, and in case we miss payment of bills, we don't miss any payments to the
Yes.
retirement funds and all that stuff?
Well, you'll see that there are check numbers on those. As per our September special meeting,
Yeah.
any withholdings of employees' monies, I send prior to, so items like that, you kind of subsequently approve the disbursement.
Well, that's what we had discussed.
Yeah, exactly.
I just wasn't sure if we had started doing it yet.
Yes, we have
Okay.
actually. So when you see a check number, it means we've sent it, and
Okay.
you're kind of, posthumously approving it.
Okay.
But if it's withholding from a check, it's a requirement for me to send it. So we can't lapse the time.
Exactly.
You remember our discussion?
Yep. Thank you.
No problem.
Mr. President, if I may, page 3 of 12, CNC garage for 20 inspection stickers. Who chooses what garage we use?
Let's see. The choice of the garage, I guess that's.
My mechanics.
Yeah.
Your mechanics choose,
We have vehicles, we have small trucks, we have large trucks. So depending on what it is where it goes.
right, because there's a place on 146 that does large trucks,
We
right?
actually have several places we deal with.
Okay, and CNC is all the way in the backwoods of Pasco, right?
Used to be right in town.
Used to be right in
Still
town,
has, still
right?
holds the license.
I was just wondering why we're not using an in-town company like Rick's.
We do, but we have to get trucks in and out at a certain deadline. So whoever can take them.
Okay. It's not the right venue to take this up, but I would prefer we not use CNC Garage.
Put it on the agenda.
I will. Thank you.
Right.
Yeah, Ms. Todd, if you could put on North Smithfield doing business with CNC Garage on the next agenda.
Can we elaborate on that? Do you mind if I weigh in? Also, it's not on the agenda, but today I was at the annex and I saw the tax assessor's car is, I know we don't have the funds for it, but we gotta take care of these vehicles. We've got some body rot on them and, you don't grab it now. Ray, no reflection on you, you don't have the funds, you know that, right? I
No
just,
reflection on me at all.
yeah, I know, and I was looking at it and saying, man, why can't we get this fixed? So, maybe we can incorporate something so that we can, when we get the budget time, we can address the vehicles, because some of these vehicles are tired. So the inspection sticker on it's nice, very noticeable, so, yeah, thank you. So, is that okay with everybody? If I just take council's name, and we just talk about inspections as well as some type of maintenance and more money to get it done?
On the next agenda?
Yeah.
Mr. President, question.
Yeah.
Jason, page 3.
Yep.
Clock Brothers, return of demo permit, 3,500.
We took a, oh geez, I'm drawing a blank, like a bid bond deposit from them to make sure that they followed through and did the work we required them to, and this is a return of their deposit. So it's kind of like, it's a holding fee. If they don't do the work we require, we keep their money to make sure it gets done the way we need it to. So this is just a payback of their deposit, so that will cost them. And again, in the past, you would have never seen it because it's out of that side fund, planning escrow deposits, so something that would come across.
Is there anything else you'd like to discuss, Councilman? Councilwoman, anything else?
Do we want a motion, everybody else set?
Actually, I have one more question. Studio Major, that'll be on the next one?
Yeah,
Okay, because I want to go through the PBIC with that one.
if not that this is the right discussion, but if you saw John Flaherty emailed back that he wanted to discuss that as well, that's why it's not here, because it's going to make your approval at PBIC level before the council would even look at it.
Right, great. Okay.
Okay, just, Mr. President, just for clarification, so, Studio Major is not reflected in this billing. I just want to make sure before we move forward.
If the PBIC had given me the okay to bring it to the council, then it would be here, because they did not.
Yeah, I know it's not, just wanted to make sure. Okay, Mr. President, after hearing input from council members, I'd like a motion to, first of all, Finance Director, you are comfortable with these bills? And has the Madam Administrator approved them as well?
Yes.
Okay. Hearing from the Finance Director as well as verbal that the Town Administrator has looked at these, I'll make the motion to accept the payment of bills for February 16, 2016. And total payments will be $2,736,764.39.
Second. Motion by Councilman Zawinski, second by Councilman Sullivan. Any further discussion, Madam Clerk, roll call vote, please.
Ms. Alves? Yes. Mrs. Nato?
Yes.
Mr. Solly?
Yes.
Mr. Zalinski?
Yes.
Mr. Boucher?
Yes.